Hello and welcome to Car Dealer Live. My name is James Batchelor and thank you very much for joining us on these daily broadcasts where we talk to people right across the industry. Now, today on the show, I'm delighted to say we're chatting to Amari from Amari Supercars. Last year, the business turned over £60 million. Now, it has buyers all around the world and has around £20 million worth of stock in its Preston-based showroom and servicing facility. Now, for an idea of what's currently in the inventory, the stock list includes 4 Ferrari 812 Superfasts, countless Lamborghinis, including 3 Countaches, an M3 CSL, and a personal favourite of mine, a 1991 Jaguar XJ220. Now head over to the website to so you can dream and drool if you want to. Good afternoon, Amari.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Pleasure to have you on. How did it all begin, really?
Well, my father started the business off back in the early 70s.
Yeah.
Obviously, a very big car collector of obviously in them times there wasn't much around. Aston Martins, Lamborghinis, Ferraris, and what have you, and they were actually in real estate back in London. And one of the buildings that we owned was also a car showroom, which was acquired by Lamborghini. So my dad, being a customer of theirs, and obviously them being a tenant of my father's, my dad bought quite a few cars off them. Okay. Yeah. Very unfortunately, they went into liquidation back in the mid-70s. Okay. And then we then kind of like took over from there. So obviously at that time I was a kid, I mean, and we kind of like obviously used to go in now and again and look at all the cars and what have you. And the business then grew from there because obviously him and his brothers and obviously his friends, you know, whenever they wanted cars, he'd supply them. We still had the old school staff there as well that was working. And then obviously we never really went to school, me and my brother. We were home taught. So every weekend we'd walk over from Park Lane into 108 George Street and have a Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the showroom learning about cars and about life, you know. And that's where it all started from there. And as soon as I passed my driving test, then we had no option but to be in the car business. That's what we loved it. We were grown up with this from a very early age. And it was fascinating because in those days, obviously, for a young man or a young boy to have a Ferrari or a Lamborghini and you're driving around London, it was very, very rare, you know, to see that type of person driving, you know, a nice car. And we just evolved the business from there, really, to be honest with you. It was, you know, how can I put it to you? Golden days of trading, you know. There was a London Auto Trader there, you know, and I jumped onto it as the best thing ever, you know. And I remember having, I think we had about 3 showrooms in London where we operated from. And we soon became very, very well known, you know, in the industry for being, you know, the number one, you know, Lamborghini dealers and resellers, you know. There wasn't that many cars around. Then we had another showroom as well, which housed all the premium cars. And we were quite lucky because a lot of traders on here may remember that back in the late 80s, there was a boom that started where there was a waiting list for Ferraris for 10 years, which then moved on to Porsches and Lamborghinis. And we were buying Ferrari 328s, 308 Testorosas, you know, that were listing out at them days for about £43,000, £55,000 for double the money. And we were selling them again for double as well. That didn't last very long. That's probably around about maybe I'd say, 12 months. And then the market, then the bubble burst. Okay. And we made a hell of a lot of money that around that time as well. But again, as we all know that those days were the days whereas that, you know, you could write a check out and it'd clear. You know, there was proper trading in them days. You know, there was nobody bouncing any checks. Not that they do nowadays, but obviously, I mean, that's the trust factor that was in them days, you know. But yeah, no, we had a very good start to life as kids, you know, in the business. And, you know, we're very privileged that, and I'm very privileged to see how the business has grown, you know, and evolved through the partners that we have, like Auto Trader, Piston Heads, you know, how it's all moved on so much, you know. But yeah, no, that's just to give you a bit of a brief beginning there of how it all started.
Yeah, fascinating. Oh, really fascinating. So I suppose you learned your skills just by being in that environment at a young age, really. You weren't taught really to how to sell a supercar. It's just being involved in that environment.
Yeah, I'm still learning now how to sell a supercar. You know, you know, it's look, my dad always said to me that if your product is right and it's well presented, you don't need to sell it. It will sell by itself. The buyer needs to convince himself that he wants the car, and that's the way we work here. You know, that's the best way, the easiest way to prepare your stock, make it the best. You know, present it like we presented it behind here. You know, to the best standard that you can. You know, and yes, you're right. You know, the learning curve for us was making mistakes. You know, and dealing with customers. You know, of all sorts from all around the world as well at a very early age. You know,
let's just go back to the pre-bubble days in the 1980s. Was it difficult selling cars in that period of time? I suppose not, because buyers were clamoring for cars, really. But was there a sort of a hard sell involved in those cars?
No, not really. No, I think, look, when you're dealing in cars that are of our caliber, you know, and we've been very lucky because we've always dealt in supercars and hypercars. Okay, that customer that is buying that car really is a customer that is going to be very easy to deal with. You know, again, it goes back to your product, you know, how you presented it, in my view. But really, to be honest with you, it was very easy. It was a lot easier then than it is now, because again, in those days, there's only a handful of us around. You know, today you've got bedroom brokers in all respect. You've got people that have left main dealerships that have took a customer database with them to go and open their own, and they've got somebody that's funding them. You know, I mean, there's a lot of that around. You know, people. I will say to you, or should say, some dealers took advantage of this. You know, where they worked at a main dealer, and they thought, okay, well, look, I've got the contacts here now. I can go and open up on my own, which they did do. But the only thing is this: there is that obviously there's nothing better than having a cash-based business where you buy your cars outright.
Yeah.
As it is for today, I mean, we find it very, very easy to sell cars for us because we own the stock. You know, for other people, it may be difficult because they don't own the stock, and a customer may walk into a showroom and say, "Look, I want to buy that Ferrari. I'm going to wire the money to you. Before I do it, I want a HPI check on the car." And if the HPI check comes up with finance outstanding on it, then they'll probably want the dealer to settle the finance before they put the money into their account. And he may not have the money to do that.
Yeah.
Owns the vehicle, may not also have the money to do that. So it makes it difficult. You know what I mean? There are a lot of obstacles, you know, in this game. It's not easy. You know, I think it's only easy when you've got your own money and the boss has just walked in. Say hi, Saba. She's that good. She's not only a fantastic sales girl, she's also a fantastic cook. She's bought me some soup. Say hi.
Hello, hi. I feel as though you're being sort of forced to say things like that, really.
He knows who pays his wages.
Don't we all? It's lovely to have a bit of a cameo there from Saba. It's lovely.
Yeah, in my business, she is the backbone. You know, I mean, she's fantastic. I mean, the way she's come on board over the past, I'd say, we've been married now 18 years. But I mean, it's fantastic how she's taken over, you know, a lot of business over the past 12 years. You know.
Yeah. And I suppose, actually, let's just talk about that for a moment. Is the supercar world, is it still very much male dominated?
Yes, it is very much so. But again, I mean, I'm now seeing the female domination. on the car industry. And I think that you'll see a big change in the industry in the next, probably five years, that there'll be a lot more female car sales personnel that will be coming on board, that will be taking over dealerships, because they've got the skill, they've got the know-how. I've got to give it to them. They do a thing. They do things a lot more, I should say, to the point than what us guys do. I mean, without them, I mean, I'm sure that a lot of you other car dealers out there will agree with me, is that they keep us on our toes.
Yes.
And again, if I go back to it, if I go back to the old days, okay, if we were doing deals as blokes, I mean, it was done on a handshake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was on a check. Yeah, no problem. We'll sort it out, X, Y, Z, and what have you, which you can't do today. You know what I mean? You got to do things properly, by email, correspondences, X, Y, Z, and what have you. And that's where, that's where I've learned some more skills from my wife. Was her background is law. With her having a law background, you can imagine what benefits that brings to my company. On paper, on emails, on wordings, on so many different things, that we do here.
Yeah. So what proportion of your customers would you say are female, and is that ratio growing a little bit?
Yeah, the ratio is growing slowly. Sabba's obviously looks after all the female clients that we have, that are obviously successful entrepreneurs that have obviously worked their way up to buy, a nice Ferrari, Porsche, or a luxury SUV from us. It's growing. Yeah, it's growing very rapidly. Yeah.
And do female buyers like to buy from females, or is that just not, if they want a car, they'll talk to whoever to get it?
That's a good question. That is, yeah. I mean, we had a customer last week, and she had a car to part exchange. Okay, yeah, and I think Saba was too strong-minded. She wanted, the customer wanted to be the woman with the nice cars.
Yeah.
And then when I put her in touch with Saba, I said, look, deal with Saba. She's great. Blah blah blah. I don't think she really liked it. Because there's another woman in that was talking to her that was of a higher, I should say, position.
Yeah.
Cars, knowing more about cars, than what she did. And the deal didn't happen in the end. But sometimes it can work, sometimes it can't. I think we decided after that all the female customers we will deal with, okay, and she could deal with all the male customers, because all the guys like speaking to her anyway. So I mean, which is good.
Good sales tactic. I like that. So let's just whip back in time again. So when did you realise that you were quite good at selling supercars?
When did I realise that? I think I realised probably when I was, I think it was almost instantly, really. I mean, I remember selling my first car, which was Ferrari Mondial.
Wow. Okay.
And I think we made around about, in them days, around about £3,000 profit.
Yeah.
I was over the moon. I think once you get that bug and it's in you, okay, yeah, then obviously there's no stopping from there, is there really? But yeah, no, I've always enjoyed it, and I think, to be honest with you, it was at a very, very early age where I got this bug to be a good, or well, you call it salesman now. I don't call it salesman. Product knowledge, knew about my cars.
Yeah. Because I suppose that's quite a good point, really, isn't it? Because supercar buyers, I would presume, I may be wrong, but they know exactly what they want, and they know all the stats about the car. And you don't really need to sell that. You don't need to give them the hard sell.
No, you don't. And that's a really good point. That is, because going back to the old days, okay, a customer would come in and say, what is the CC on that car? What's the 0 to 60 on it? How many miles to the gallon does it do? And you'd actually have to go through the car with them with a fine tooth comb.
Really?
Then, which was fantastic for our knowledge today. I mean, because you can think about it, if you ask me about an old classic Ferrari or a Lamborghini, I know inside out. About the new cars, I know very little. And that's why I've got my nephew Anil that does all the newer cars. But the thing is that today, when the customer comes today, okay, he has already done his research on the net. He's watched a YouTube video. Okay, yeah, he's gone on the net and downloaded the information. Okay, he's got all the facts and figures. He's gone on Auto Trader, Piston Heads. eBay, checked out the prices, you know, of where it was. And don't forget, in the olden days, you'd have your regions for the auto trader. So you'd have London, you'd have Midlands, you'd have Northwest, you have Scotland. So when a person in London was looking at a car, he'd only be looking in London. He had nowhere else to go and buy that car unless there was another car for sale in that same Auto Trader magazine.
Yeah.
You know, whereas now you click on the net and you click anywhere, or 50 miles or 60 miles, whatever it is, and you get so many cars. And nowadays, obviously, there's this delivery service. You can buy fabulous. Yeah. So the competition is wide. You know. Yeah.
Do you think supercar buyers, they're still, you know, are they all sort of unique, or do most supercar buyers all sort of share the same sort of characteristics?
I would say to you that there are all unique in their own ways about buying cars. When you're buying cars at this sort of level, you know, you come across different personalities. Because I think it's all about personality, you know, about when you're buying a car. You know, we can all have the money, not a problem, okay? And you can sell to a very nasty guy, okay? Or you can sell to a very, very nice guy, you know? And I think for us, when we look at our buyers today, and the way they come across, they all have their own persona and personality, you know, and you've got to kind of like weigh them up, you know, first, where they're coming from, you know, and then obviously you then, you know, attack the sale in a certain manner. So yeah, they are all individual.
Yeah. What would you say are the easiest cars to sell? I mean, is there one particular brand that you know you can easily sell, or is it all of the stock that you've got?
We're quite lucky because we do well with all our brands. Okay. I mean, let's just say, for example, there aren't very many independent showrooms out there that are 15,000 square foot.
No.
Number one. Okay, yeah, independence. Okay. Number two, for us, again, because we're on the net, okay, and we do videos, we've got some very good quality pictures as well. All our cars are described down to a T, you know. So with all that being in place, for us to sell Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Porsches, they all sell.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's not like 1 month it's Ferraris. No. It's like, for example, last week we sold 14 cars. And out of 14 cars, there's Porsche, Ferrari, Lamborghini, Rolls Royce, Jaguar, which is a special type of Jaguar, and Range Rover. So you've got 6 brands there that we've gone across the board.
So those customers that you sold to last week, were they people who you got the sense that they were waiting to buy once showrooms were open, or were they just, you know, they just bought at spur of the moment?
Well, for us, it's very difficult to tell, and I'll tell you why. Because since this happened in March, was it March that happened, COVID?
Yeah,
was it?
yeah.
March, okay.
It seems about 5 years ago now, but yes.
Like, look, for us, it's been a big change for us, okay, in one way, but in another way, it's been normal as well, okay. Yeah? Whereas the big change for us was that we were working from home, okay. Yeah? Where it's normal is that the emails were still coming through, but a lot more, okay. The phones were ringing a lot more as well, okay. Obviously, people were finding out what's going on, you know, and then what it was is that people were still buying online, because I don't know whether you know this or not, but we've actually had our website since 1997, 98.
Wow.
A long time ago, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So we've had our website since then. Obviously, it's evolved over the years, you know. So this online business for us has always been there, you know. I mean, the walk-in trade today is only 10%, 15%, you know. The 80% of it is all online, you know. So to be honest with you, yeah, I mean, it has changed and it's increased the online side of it a lot more, but otherwise, to be honest, we're carrying on as we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you found due to the length of time the business has been operating, there have been numerous economic crises, and do you think the supercar market is very much resilient to those?
From what I've gathered, and I look at past experience, okay, with a few recessions that we've had, okay, that I've always felt that the people with the money, they want to buy.
Yeah.
They want to buy something luxurious, because yet the prices have come down a little bit. They've corrected themselves, and which is a big thing for me, because I've always been mindful about setting prices in the market, which we'll come back to later on. But yeah, I mean, the customers out there that are buying these cars and that are putting their money out of the bank into metal, they've not got an issue. They're just there just to enjoy the money, enjoy this time. And look, think about it. Nobody's going to be going on holiday for the next 12, 18 months. Okay. The pubs, the restaurants are all closed. How much money are you going to be saving? You know, I mean, I'm in London 2 days a week, 3 days a week sometimes. Okay. And when I'm with clients, you take them out for a meal, and a meal for 2 people or even 4 people is £600-700. You know, a lot of people out there that have got this type of money are out on meals every single night.
Yeah.
You know, with the friends and what have you, and it's costing them probably several £1,000s a week. They've saved all that money now. So I'll go and buy myself a nice car.
Yeah. Let's just go back to that point that you raised there about being mindful of setting the market, because the position which you're in, you can dictate the market a little bit, can't you, by setting prices?
Yeah. Well, the thing is this, and when COVID-19 first started, lockdown happened, you know, people were thinking of dropping the prices. You know, I mean, even we thought, well, what do we do now? How long is this going to last? Is this the end of the world? It was very surreal. It was like flipping out, what's going on? You know, are we ever going to go back to work? 3 months is a long time, you know. But the other thing is that we decided ourselves just to hold the market, pause everything. Do not put any prices down. Leave them as they are. Okay. If somebody wants to make us an offer, we'll consider it. But if we knock off 10, 20 grand off a car, then they'll want another 10, 20 grand off as well.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
as setting the market, I mean, I remember when the classic car boom was on the highest back in 2013, 14, 15, and 16, you know, or should I say late 13 onwards. And I was setting the market then on all the Lamborghinis, you know, on the Diablos, on the Countachs, you know, on Testarossas, 308s, and what have you. And it was very interesting because once you set that market, because you own the stock and you've got a lot of that product in, okay, yeah, you're entitled to predict the market, aren't you? You know, where the prices go and what you sell for, and then everybody follows suit. But look, Amari sold that Ferrari, for example, F40 for £500,000. Okay, we'll put our prices up as well. I mean, so it's important that look that as dealers, I think it's very important that, especially the ones that are dealing in our type of cars, and there's only a handful of us, you know, and this is those people that actually own the stock.
Yeah.
They're not the return stock, they've got their money into it. If you've got somebody else's money in it, then they probably won't care. But the handful of us that do have the bank balance to buy cars, I've always said that we should kind of like stick together. I mean, and hold the prices and get the money that you can for the car, because these cars now, we're very, very lucky that we don't pay that big tax here in the UK. We've got 20% VAT, 10% duty, which is really, compared to other countries. I mean, we sold a car to India around the COVID period, okay? And he could have bought 3 cars for that one car. The car was 1.2 million by the time it landed in India. And it was £300,000 here.
Yeah.
So sure that we're very, I mean, for our customers that are buying cars here, the private punter, if there are cars which are rare cars and that cars are in demand, we should be able to kind of like communicate with one another and say, look, this is what the prices are, this is how we're going to set them up. And I'm sure there is that setting there, you know, amongst independents. It's there with the main dealers, with Ferrari and what have you. I'm sure it's there with them guys.
Yeah, yeah. Let's just talk about classic cars for a moment. Now, it's for many years people have been saying, "Oh, classic cars are good investments." What's your view of that? Do you see classic cars as investments, or as a petrol head, do you see them as something more than that?
Look, I've got both views. I see them still as investments. Okay, and if you think about it, key ingredients. I mean, I've got a customer coming to look at the test, one of my test Rosses this week, and I was saying to him that, look, where will you find a car again today that was made in the era of the owner, pop-up lights, manual gearbox, V12 or V8, rear wing if there's a Countach, it's got its handful of key ingredients that you've got out there, which cannot be replaced today. Everything's now Perspex lights, or these new shape cars now. They've got these new turbo engines. Look at, for example, we've got a Porsche Taycan at the moment now. This is an electric car. They'll never ever make them like they did before. We've got also a 911 turbo, 964 RS as well. What we've got in as well. Those are the real cars, aren't they? But yes, there will always be that demand for classic cars. As long as it's got good history, good provenance, and it's a clean car, you'll never have a difficulty selling it, and it'll always be an investment.
Yeah, interesting words. Actually, let's just briefly talk about electric cars. Now, I saw the Taycan on your website, and it did make me think that, we've had hybrid supercars, the LaFerrari and et cetera, in the past, and 918 Spiders. In the future, there's going to be a lot more of them. And what's your view of that? Do you think that's still something you're going to be stocking? Are you still going to be excited about stocking these kinds of cars? And more importantly, do you think the market is still going to be there for them?
Yes, the market will always be there for the petrol cars. Remember, what they are saying is that they're introducing electric cars. They're not saying they're going to do away with the petrol cars. Okay, that's very important, that is. And people think, when they think about electric cars, they all think, right, okay, there'll be no more petrol cars on the road. Yes, they'll start producing them. That's probably the way they're going to go if they do go 100% electric. But personally, my personal view, I don't think the electric car market will be a buoyant market. I know we're all talking about being green and what have you. I don't think it will be. I will give you an example now. I mean, before the COVID-19, I was stuck in a very big traffic jam coming up from London, and I was in that for 4 or 5 hours. And I thought to myself, if I was in an electric car right now, and I had the radio on to keep myself entertained, it was a nice hot day, I had the air conditioning on, my battery's going to be wasted. It's going to go for a full electric car. So, for example, if in that traffic jam there's 1,000 cars, and let's say majority of those cars were electric, then how will we charge our cars? There's no charging points on the motorway. I mean, you'd have to pull off to the next service station to get your car charged, which, if you've got no charge left in your car, at least if you're in a petrol car, if you've got a petrol can, you can pour it in and get to the service station. I mean, there's a lot of things the government need to think about, with this electric business. I mean, I don't think they've thought about it properly. I think petrol will still be an option, and I think the government should give that option. But that's what my thoughts are about electric cars.
I think for electric hypercars, future cars like the Pininfarina, Battista, and the Lotus, there will be a proportion of people who will own them because it's money, no object. They've got the money. They want to be the first with that kind of car. But I think those kinds of cars will also put off a lot of people as well, a lot of supercar buyers, because the engine is a key ingredient of the car, isn't it?
All about the noise.
Yeah.
All about the feel.
Yeah.
And this is what we go back to about the classic cars. The classic cars, they will always remain, the most iconic, the most desirable cars in the world. You'll never get away from that fact.
Yeah. Are you having any difficulty getting hold of stock at the moment, or are you operating in different circles as opposed to other dealers?
Again, we're very, very lucky because when we do get offered a car, okay, the first question that they asked is, do you buy them?
Yeah.
Do you buy cars? And we say, yeah, we do. And at first we were taking this the wrong way. Well, we have to buy them to sell them. But no, what the customer is actually asking is, do you actually write a check out for the car, as I say, and buy it off us and take it off our hands? You know, because a lot of people out there are doing sale or return on cars. We want to buy them, and this is where our upper hand is that we are finding stock, not a problem. Okay, and we are buying stock as well. We're buying it. That's the most important thing. Then we can obviously again control the price on where we want to be, whether we want to make $5 grand on that car or whether we want to make 50 grand on that car. You know, it's down to us. You know, whereas on a sale return car, you're probably restricted to a $5 grand commission or even a £2,000 commission, and it'll be a higher price as well, less room for negotiation. But yes, no, we're finding stock very easily. It's not a problem. You know, I mean, we've got our adverts, which are our advert campaigns on social media. We do a lot on there as well, which obviously creates the traffic. People call us.
Yeah. Final question for me, Amari. If you could go back in time and give yourself one piece of advice when you were young and you were starting out, what would it be?
What would it be? Tell the truth. Be honest. I mean, and have good intentions, and just buy the right cars. Buy the right cars. That's it. Your preparation is key. That's it. You know, these are just a few key things. Be honest. Be honourable. You know what I mean? Tell the truth. Buy the right cars. You know, present them properly, and believe me, you'll have no sorries. Customers will trust you, and they'll buy the cars. Just tell it. That's how it is.
Brilliant, fantastic words of advice. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. And tomorrow we'll have Anton Khan and John Marshall from SW Car Supermarket. And ending this week, we'll be talking to Nissan Motor UK's Managing Director, Andrew Humberston. Now, if you want to get involved in car dealer lives like this one, then you can email me at james.batchelor@blackballmedia.co.uk or James Baggett, and you can reach him at james@blackballmedia.co.uk. You can follow me on Twitter at JRRBachelor or James Baggett at Car Dealer Ed, and we're both on LinkedIn, and you can join us there. We've also got some WhatsApp groups as well. If you want to have the latest news, breaking news sent directly to your phone, get in touch with us for details of those. Thanks again to Amari for joining us. It's been absolutely brilliant. So which just leaves me to say thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.